Hello and welcome to Donington Park. This is the first official pre-season test ahead of the 2024 Bennetts British Superbike season. You've got the pleasure of our company as we discuss the teams, the riders and all of their chances ahead of the new season. Beforehand, we've got to make sure that we pay immense gratitude to Zero Fit. We are modelling their hoodies and base layer because it's immensely chilly here as well. As they say, thank you for them for sponsoring this video. Bertie. 6 months almost have passed since Mr. Bridewell wrapped up last season's championship. He only won by half a point, didn't he? But yeah. 6 months, can you believe it?
No, not really. It's flown by. I think it was nice yesterday to see bikes go out on track. We've spent that, I say that long, it feels that long, but it doesn't feel that long, if you know what I mean. So to get the season underway is nice. It's not the best of weathers. It's a bit windy and a bit breezy, but it was nice to get some bikes out on track yesterday. Don't know how many bikes are going to go out on track today, but we'll hopefully get a fair few and we'll go and discuss their chances.
Yeah, there was, over the winter, there's quite a few movements, wasn't there, from new teams, old teams going, new riders moving around as well, I suppose, and it was good for us, again, the interested public as we are, is that they broke that up, didn't they, over the NEC, and there's a bit of Christmas, and then there's some more chit-chat and gossip and rumour and whatever else, and announcements come the London show.
Yeah, I think it's quite an interesting season this season. Obviously, we had to wait a long time for PBM to decide officially what they were going to do. Obviously, Tommy moved to Honda, Jason's moved to Kawasaki. The official Yamaha team is now OMG with Ryan and Kyle. So there's quite a lot of movers and shakers. And I think this year, I'm more invigorated this year than I think I ever have been. So if that's something to say, then we should be in for a good season.
I think that speaks volumes. All right, let's get on with it then. Bertie, we start at the start, obviously. So the reigning champions are the PBM team. This year they've got a slightly different name and they're down to one rider.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
This is now what everybody will have known as the PBM team. It's now classed as the Hager PBM Racing team. So obviously last year when Paul Bird sadly passed away, the team could still carry on. However, at the end of the year, it then went through probate because Paul was the sole director of the business. So that's why it took a little bit of time for the team to announce officially what they were doing. But they've still kept the PBM name. It's not PBM Motorsport anymore, it's PBM Racing Team. It's still on the Ducati, the V4R for this year. And more or less, Glenn still kept the same crew as what he had last year. Still got the same crew chief, same mechanics. Basically the same team, just minus the second rider that they had last year, basically.
Which might work in Glenn's favour, do you think, as a sole rider in the team?
Oh, 100%, yeah. And I think it's less stress for the team as well. I was talking to Warren, Glenn's sort of chassis mechanic yesterday, and I just said, are you enjoying it, having one less rider to be in the team? And he said it's just a nice environment now. It's a really nice environment to work in.
As a runner-up in the series, he only lost the title by half a point, and he won more races than Tommy, of course, last year. Yeah. He surely goes into this season as the title favourite?
100%. I think if it's for me, this is going to sound really silly, and if Tommy watches this, he's probably going to absolutely kill me for it, but I'm going to say it's Glenn's to lose for me. He's on the same bike, he's got the same crew, it's the same team. Everything is more or less the same, give or take a few different slight rule changes, but it's for him anyway. For me, it's him.
Good point. Rule changes. So there are some slight technical rules regulations have been amended for this year.
Yes.
Tyres as well as engine specification, right?
Yeah, so basically BMW, Honda and Ducati have to run standard cams. Just sort of, I believe, kind of just tries to level the playing field out for the rest of the manufacturers. And also for tyres this year, so there is no SCX anymore. Basically, just to cut down on costs. So they're only allowed one rear tyre, which is the SC0. Two options of a front tyre, SC1 and SC2. Most will probably run the SC1. You might see Kyle Ryde occasionally use an SC2, Leon use an SC2. It's very rare that they will, it just depends. And they're only allowed 7 sets across a weekend, and there is no more FP3 either.
For our chums at home, just explain what a Pirelli SCX is or was.
So the SCX was the softer of the option of the rear tyres. It was first developed in World Superbike. Basically, from what I remember, it was developed as a qualifying tyre. Teams then realised they could run it over 15 to 18 to 20 laps. and it gave them real good tyre life and consistency throughout a race. So then when it came to BSB, everybody else did the same. So in reality, you were using the softest rubber, which meant essentially they could go a lot quicker during races. Whereas now it's cut down on the tyre bill, so only the SC0. You'll notice now every team is now doing all of their work on the SC0 because that's all they have.
Right, well, let's go and see if we can have a word with Glenn, shall we? So we're outside the PBM garage with Glenn Irwin, superstar, 2023 runner-up by just half a point. But new season, new prospects, new chances. How has testing at Donington been for you so far?
It's been really good. The usual pre-test feelings on Friday night, like 6 months off riding on tarmac. And you're like, can I still do this? And communicating with other riders, chatting to Jason O'Halloran and similar things. So you go out on Saturday morning. By lap 2, I was going, bloody mental nearly in the gravel at Melbourne Loop. And I found it the best way to get up to speed. And you realise just how much you love this job and how much you miss it. Day 1 was great. We kind of started where we left off with the bike last year. And instantly the feeling came quite good. Obviously the wind is pretty inconsistent. Let's say it's always high, and then you get the odd lap where it's like, that was a good lap because the wind didn't blow me. We introduced a new shock halfway through yesterday. It's always nice to have something to test, and we tried some electronic stuff, so used very, very little tyres. We're very focused on our plan, what we're doing. Just regrouping with everyone has been great. Obviously, change of ownership. After Paul's passing away, it's officially young Jordan and Frank managing it and owning it, and Johnny Mowatt's heavily involved as manager. So I've kept all my guys together. I'm really, really happy with that.
Lots of wins last year, Glenn. Were you? I think it was 10. Was it 10 wins you had last year? More than actually Tommy had. You've got the same team as you mentioned, the same bike. You're feeling comfortable. Your prospects must be, well, sky high. Is it fair for me to say that you're going in as sort of one of the championship favourites?
That's what some people will think, but again, it's like talk, isn't it? And yeah, we have a good package. We have some new parts to still introduce that didn't arrive in time for here. So with that, you got to develop and you got to pursue. So do you lose some time at the beginning with these items or not? Do you come better at a different point of the year? I don't know. I expect to be strong. I expect Kyle and Ryan to be strong. I expect Leon, Tommy, because the Honda is it's working very well here. I think they've went back more to like the bike I had in 2022, which was a great bike, obviously with their upgraded engine. I expect them to be great, and they're showing it. So BSB, you can never just go, yeah, I'm the favourite, I'm going to run away. It won't work like that. But if we work hard, we continue to bring the best version of ourselves every weekend. That's all we can do, not just me, but my entire crew. And it's something I know we can do.
Now, you're looking a bit stealthy in your Zero Fit kit. This is a new sponsor for you this year, sponsor for us for this video. How are you getting on with your base layers?
They're incredible, and just like when I arrived here, I had Rich from Olin's came over to me and he says, mate, them base layers, unbelievable. I think he bought the ultimate one, which is the world's warmest base layer, and he went skiing in it. He was like, mate, incredible. Wasn't cold, so they've done my merchandise as well this year, which is cool. It's nice to offer my fans, and not just my fans of BSB, if they want to buy something.
Thank you very much for your time. All the best of the season. Cheers, gang. Next up is the OMG team, Bertie. We've got Kyle Ryan Vickers. They're still with the same team, but the team's got new colours and a new sponsor.
Yeah, so basically OMG have now become the factory-supported Yamaha outfit for 2024. So McAMS Yamaha, as we know it, the Raceways team left, and now they've been handed over to the OMG guys. Same team, same riders, same crew, like you just said, new colours, slightly different sponsor, and it's not really changed a great deal. Kyle was fastest yesterday, Ryan was second quickest yesterday, so I think from these boys, start as you mean to go on, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys had a very strong season, didn't they, on and off last year? Kyle was dominant here at Donington. Ryan had a poor start of the season with an injury, didn't he, but then came strong later on, won his first BSB race.
Yeah, so a real sort of mixed bag of results last year. Like you said, Kyle started off the season like a train, did 2 race wins here, crashed out in turn 1 just behind us, but he finished third in the championship, and coming up to the last race of the season, Kyle was still in with a shot of winning the championship. for me, he runs into this year as one of the favourites, alongside Glenn and probably Tommy and maybe Leon. But again, Ryan is another one to watch out for me. He's got that monkey off his back in terms of a race win. He's got that monkey off his back in terms of podiums. He just needs to go and show it now. And I think from yesterday's performance, on both the number 1 bike and the 2 bike, because they've actually got 2 bikes to test this week, for me, Ryan's going to be one that's up there to watch.
Tell me more about this, why they've got 2 bikes. Is that something to do with the Yamaha support?
I think, yeah, so Yamaha have just got a slightly different, I believe it's a subframe that they're testing. So they've got 2 bikes to test to see which ones they prefer. I think the only difference is the subframe. But yesterday Kyle was quickest on his 1 bike. It said Kyle Ride 1 and Kyle Ride 2. Really, shouldn't really be 2 Kyle Rides in the world. So there was 2 different bikes, but both of them seem to really like it. So it just depends on which products they used starting the season in Navarra in a couple of weeks.
Right, Vickers, welcome. Thanks for your time, mate. How have you been this morning? There's 2 of your bikes sitting here. You haven't got twins, have you?
Yeah, it's been a busy couple of days, to be fair, so far. So yesterday was actually really fortunate. We got a dry day. Okay, the wind's a bit strong, but we was able to test a lot and confirm a lot of things. So we actually, one's a 24 bike, one's a 23 spec bike, just different parts. So we've managed to get through and confirm that we're pretty much going to run the most considerable changes on the 24 bike, definitely. So we've still got a lot of items to go through. This morning we was doing a lot more, so yeah, we're narrowing it down, and that's a good thing. To be honest, I would have been happy to have been where we ended yesterday at the end of this test. So to do that in 1 day is a big benefit, and we can now work through a lot more today and hopefully turn up at Navarra with a very, very good base setting and an improvement on last year.
Is it fair for me to say you've got a lot more Yamaha support this year, haven't you? You're sort of the official factory Yamaha supported team. Are they the big differences between the 23 and 24 bike? Have Yamaha introduced more bits, presumably via World Superbikes?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we was actually quite, behind on parts, really. Like I think O'Halloran and stuff like that, they had the newer parts last year of what we tested yesterday. There's a few other bits that obviously that are new for this year. But the best thing about having the Yamaha support is that we get access to those parts now. So we've got a few different options and variations. There's actually probably another 10 items that we could have had, but you can't have everything. So we've narrowed it down to the most parts that are going to be the most beneficial to us as a team, because the World Superbike regulations and everything are completely different, so not every part that they have is going to benefit us. So the team worked hard in the winter, and we made the best sort of decision to, and the parts that we've tested for the new stuff is definitely an improvement. They've done an amazing job on that, and we'll keep progressing.
Of course, this time last year you had a nasty hand injury, didn't you? And you sort of scuppered the first part of your season, but you came strong in the second half. You won your first race. You kind of got that monkey off your back and came good with the pace at the end of the season. That presumably you've kept that momentum up, and it's carried over the winter, and you're going into this season with more vigour and kind of that verve for success again.
Yeah, exactly. We got off to a bit of a rough start, but we just got unlucky with that. It was just a little crash. It's just sort of lack of knowledge really at the circuit, and it shouldn't have really been that bad. I should have just lost the front, and it was just unlucky. But it was one of them things, but we came back strong, and we finished the rest of the season amazing. And we rode at every circuit on the calendar. We didn't actually miss any in the end, although I missed the test at Alton and the first race. We was there later in the year, so we managed to get data on the bike, which was crucial, because then coming into this year, we've got data for every circuit. We've got a really good base. And actually, what we've learned yesterday, that the suspension of the bike hasn't really changed much with the new parts, very slightly, but geometry of the bike is all the same. So that's nice as well, that we haven't had to venture off. So we know that our base settings last year are actually going to be very close, even with the new parts. So that's good, and yeah, we can just build on what we had last year on every circuit really, and hopefully with the new parts we can be a little bit better everywhere.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time, Ryan. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys. We find ourselves outside the Kawasaki garage, who have it's the FH3, isn't it? They've got a new
title sponsor and a new rider.
They have, yet. So this is now completely Motorbikes Kawasaki, is what its official title is. Everybody will know it as FS3. I will know it as FS3, but it is completely Kawasaki, completely Motorbikes Kawasaki, should I say, with Jason O'Halloran and Matt Cook. So Jason moves to Kawasaki after about, 5 years, 6 years with Yamaha, with the McAMS Yamaha team. Completely all new to Jason. Seems to be enjoying it, taking a little bit of time to get settled in. He was lucky enough actually to get a test on it out in Jerez, end of last year, December time.
That move was decided early, wasn't he? He signed the contract very early, so he got a bit of time.
He was actually lucky enough just to get sort of an installation test here at the end of the year, after the season, so end of October. Then they went to Jerez sort of December time with the World Superbike guys. So he's had a little bit more time on it than probably anybody else up and down the pit lane. But for me, Jason's one to watch this year. I'd say he's got a point to prove. The Kawasaki is an old bike now. It's long in the tooth for me. It's not a new bike like the Honda or the Ducati or the BMW. So time will tell, but I think he's got a point to prove. But he's got a new teammate in there in Max Cook who's going to keep him on his heels. Max was really quick last year, proved a lot of people wrong. Rookie of the year. Was so close to a podium at Thruxton, and I think he was a little bit beaten up after that, because he was so close to it and he was just so despondent. And then towards the end of the year, he just kind of, results just didn't go his way, if you like. He had a bit of a crash at Thruxton which knocked him out, so he was out for that weekend. Then it just sort of stemmed off the back of that, really. But for me, you'll see these guys up there for definite. Jason's going to be one to watch, he always is.
Hugely experienced, race runner, proven.
Yeah.
Some would say he's had the package certainly over the last 2 or 3 years. Obviously Taz won the title on that bike, and Jason ran him close and had a good start to the season last year as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old adage thing of, if it wasn't for the showdown, Jason O'Halloran would be a double British Superbike champion, which he probably would be. But unfortunately, he just felt, once you got to the showdown, Jason just, I'm going to use the word melted. He just seemed to sort of go within himself, and he had those incidents where he was taken out in races, or he'd crash on his own or whichever, and it kind of felt like the pressure got to him a little bit. Whereas now, maybe just a fresh change of environment, fresh team, new ideas. Hopefully we'll see Jason back up the front again.
And if points were handed out for being a nice bloke, he'd have plenty, wouldn't he?
He'd have 7 or 8 championships if that was the case.
Let's move on. I bet you've got Mr. Leon Haslam behind us. In fact, we've got Mr. Ron Haslam just walked by us as well, for good measure. 2 better than 1. He's back for more. When was he champion? 16, was it?
2018 British champion, yeah. So Leon's back for 2024. Same team, Rokit Haslam Racing is what its official title is. On the BMW again this year. Leon, I think for me, surprised me a lot last year. It was a lot for him to take on in terms of running his own team. He said that at the start of last year, that it was a big undertaking, and I think it took a lot out of him, more than what he expected. This year, obviously, he runs a Supersport team. He's also got a few guys in the Junior Super Team Championship as well. So he's got a bit of extra help from Ian Hopcroft, who used to run the Moto Rapido Ducati team. He's now gone in there as sort of team manager for that, to allow Leon to focus on the Superbike. Quickish yesterday morning, first of all, the first test anyway. He's just about to head out now on the new M1000RR. So last year he was on the old Fairburn, the old S1000RR. This year he's on the M1000. So it'd be interesting to see. But again, for me, Leon's one to watch after his performances last year, definitely.
Yeah, big time. And of course, he knows this place inside out, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And with that new bike, has he got sort of BMW support as well?
He has a little bit of support. So what I believe, Leon gets most of his support from Sean Muir, so the official World Superbike team. So Sean helps a little bit out there. But obviously the main factory supported BMW outfit is FHO, which we'll come to in a little bit further up the pit lane.
Strong chance this year as well, hasn't he, Leon?
Yeah, I think so.
He's never lost any kind of fight, has he?
No,
always
definitely not.
Up for it.
Like I say, I was so surprised at Leon last year. I shouldn't have been surprised, because he's Leon, but I was surprised at how well he performed with what he had, if you know what I mean. Especially just as a one-man outfit. First year of doing it himself, it was completely unknown. And he went out there and proved everybody wrong. And it was in with a shot of the title coming into the last round. I think he just lost out on it, maybe on the Saturday, I think he lost out on it, or the first race on the Sunday. But he's definitely one to watch heading into 24.
Good stuff, thank you. Well, I don't know how much hate the cameraman's got on his machine, but we're Honda Racing next. There's a lot to talk about here.
We're going to be here a while, I think.
So what do we got? Let's start with the Superbike. So 3 Superbike riders, a new bike.
Yeah, so 3 Superbike riders. So obviously you've got champion Tommy Bridewell. He moves from the PBM team over to Honda for this year. Andrew Irwin keeps his seat, and Dean Harrison moves to Honda Racing from the DAO Kawasaki team. All on brand new Fireblades for this year, which you've ridden. You seem to like.
Yeah. I got to spend a bit of time in Portimao on the press launch with Tommy Bridewell and Dean Harrison. We're out there with John McGuinness as well. And the bike is phenomenal for my level of riding. It rode me very, very good. And I'm eager to see what it's like in Superbike form, certainly. But Dean's already impressed, hasn't he?
Yeah, these boys seem to really like it. Dean yesterday, I was so surprised. Dean was 4th quickest at one point yesterday, dropped to 5th on combined times at the end of the day. But he's taken to it like a duck to water, he really has. And I don't think anybody expected Dean Harrison to be the quickest out of the 3 Superbike boys, but he's proven his worth straight away. Tommy was up there as well, and Andrew was up there as well. It's just a brand new bike for all 3 of them, brand new bike for Honda. It's just going to take a little bit of time to set up. That's what Tommy said to us a couple of weeks ago. That's what both Dean and Andrew have said.
It's been a strange and tough time, hasn't it, over the last few years for Honda? Yeah. They've not had the successes they used to. Do you think getting someone like Tommy Bridewell, the current champion, bringing the #1 plate to the garage is a big coup? Were you surprised by that move?
I wasn't surprised by it, no, I wasn't surprised by it at all. We'd heard murmurings and rumours that, well, we say rumours, they were sat in a Honda car in the car park here at the end of last season, so it was always probably going to happen. But I think Tommy just wanted a change. He wanted something slightly different. He'd been on a Ducati for about 5 years. I think he was desperate just to change and just to see how good he really is. And after winning the championship last year, a lot of people were surprised by the move, but I wasn't. I think Tommy's going to prove to everybody this year that he's worth what Honda are giving him. He's always said it's not about the money, it's about what he can prove to the other people out there. And straight away from yesterday, you could see that. They just need more time on the bike. It's a brand new bike. They've hardly had any testing time. Dean's had a little bit of extra time on it as a TT bike with Metzler tyres, whereas Andrew and Tommy have had no time on it. Yesterday was their first day on the Superbike, so it's still going to take a little bit of time to get dialed in. But it would not surprise me if you see Honda Racing back to what they were, because last year, and I'm happy to say it was embarrassing for Honda Racing. They didn't have one podium throughout the whole year, and then McGuinness told us that's the first time in the history of Honda Racing that has ever happened in BSB. They've never had a podium.
So there's quite a lot of pressure on the team in that case. But Tommy's never one for sort of holding his feelings back, is he? But actually, he's been glowing. We've seen him in the garage just now, even in Portugal on the test. He was just beaming with what this bike can do.
Yeah, he's really happy with it. In a stock form and in a road bike form, he's really happy with it. We're yet to talk to him about a Superbike, so hopefully this afternoon we'll get a bit of a chance and try and get that online. But from what I've seen, he's smiling, he's happy. That's the main thing. If you've got a smiling Tommy Bridewell and a happy Tommy Bridewell, you've got a fast Tommy Bridewell. The same with Andrew Irwin. Andrew was smiling yesterday. He seems happy, he seems comfortable, and comfortable within the top 10 of the times. Yes, okay, it's testing. It's quite cold here, it's quite windy, but I think you're going to see the best out of Honda Racing this year.
Fantastic, thank you. FHO Racing BMW, Bertie. We've got Josh Brooks, Peter Hickman, unchanged.
Completely unchanged. Same bike, same crew, same riders, same everything. Last year they started off the season like a train. Josh did anyway, completely out of the box. I said he was going to be...
He was your title favourite, wasn't he?
He was my title favourite, and after round 3 I was looking pretty strong. But unfortunately just tailed off after the Alaman TT. You know, fresh year for these guys now. They obviously have the help from BMW, they have the support from BMW. So for me, you can't write Josh Brooks off. You shouldn't really write Peter Hickman off. You can't. It's impossible, because Josh is a quality act, he's a class act, and so is Pete. You know, and the team have got such a wealth of experience in there that for me they should be up there. I do want Josh to do well, I want Pete to do well. So for me, ones to watch.
Full factory BMW support as well. They've got loads of experience, like you say. They've both won races. Josh has won championships. They're incredibly strong on the roads, of course. Yeah, that's an understatement and a half. Yeah. They should be doing better.
They should be. Yeah, I think last year they just had I think they changed their engine spec mid-year, and they just seemed to struggle a little bit after that. After the TT from Knockhill onwards, they just struggled. Josh seemed to struggle. and it kind of put it down to the engine specification. It was just a slight change from what I believe anyway. So it depends on to see what engine spec they're running this year.
Sure.
I'm not too sure, but from just going forward, from what we've seen so far this weekend, they seem to be getting there now.
That M1000RR sounds lush, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. You can hardly hear yourself think when you're next to it, especially the TT bike for sure.
Good, let's move on. Oxford Products Motor Rapido Ducati is the next up. Typically they've just fired their engine up as we've started to talk. And actually, you know what? Look, come here a bit. You can see, as the bodywork's off the bike, you can start to have a look at what goes on underneath the Superbike's clothes. Bertie, no change in this team as ever this year. Ben Curry's on the Supersport bike, and we've got Christian Iddon on the Superbike.
Yeah, so no change again. Same team, same riders, same sponsors, same crew near enough. The only slight change on this bike is the exhaust system. So they've not got the single under-seat exhaust that they had last year. They've got the dual Termignoni system now. We'll ask Christian about that in a little minute. We'll grab a quick chat with him while he's sat in his chair. But yeah, for me, one to watch this year for me, Christian. I think he's actually probably got another one with a point to prove. Didn't really have the best of years last year. He described himself middle of the year as Cress, just like it's there but just not really doing anything kind of stuff. And I felt quite sorry for him because a lot of people expected a lot of Christian last year. He expected a lot of himself. I expected a lot of him as well, and he just didn't really perform. A few podiums here and there, flashes of brilliance, but this year he's definitely got a point to prove.
Very experienced rider and very intelligent rider too. He's, well, as you said, you use your expression, he's one to watch, but that because he's a clever guy, because he knows kind of how to get the best out of the bike and how to work the setup. I tend to agree. I think that he could be up for a few victories this year. Do you want to go and have a chat with him, see if you can see what he says?
Yeah, why not? So Christian, thanks for joining us. I know it's a busy couple of days for you, but first of all, first day of 2024 yesterday. How did you find it? How are you feeling? Glad to be back?
Yeah, glad to be back. Actually, it was a really positive day. We've got a lot of new parts on the bike, and the main thing for me actually was a different electronic strategy. So that was amazing. Went out on what I had last year and actually really struggled to ride the bike just for the first session, just 10 laps, just to run out. And yeah, they fired in what they've been working on for all of winter, and it was pretty much plug and play. They fired it in and it worked, and it was it's so rare you get those moments of, you know, put it in, it works, and you don't need to do much with it. So that was a really nice moment.
What is it, the different strategies on the electronics? What is it?
Well, there's just so much they can play with, and it's just finding that connection between the throttle to engine to rear tyre, and something we really never got a grip of last year, and that kind of showed yesterday. I think last year I got used to what we were riding, and having had the winter off, I didn't realise how far away that was from what it should have been. And yeah, to then have a new map fired in and it to basically fix almost all the problems. There's always a problem because that's our job to pick fault at the bike, but you know, it was honestly just night and day difference. So I was smiling straight away. As soon as I went around turn one on the outlap, I was like, yeah, this is already better. So that was good.
How much has the new exhaust system made a difference at the centre of gravity, or do you not really know?
No, big time. That's the next big change. So we've had a fuel tank change and a different exhaust system, but also where the weight is due to the fuel tank and the exhaust, it's a different weight of exhaust as well, and it all makes a big difference. So another thing we had a bit of a difficulty with last year was stopping the bike, mainly due to rear wheel contact. It now seems we've got a lot more rear wheel contact than we had, so that's something now we can work with. It creates its own new things to work with, but at least we've now got that base that we needed. So yeah, it was super positive because everything that we had was an improvement, and that's not always the way.
Just finally then, before I let you go and probably head out on track, SC0's only for this year. Your opinion on that? Has it helped you with the Ducati, or has it hindered you in any way? Or do you not know yet because you've not really had enough time to consider it?
Yeah, theoretically it will hinder because we don't have a lot of edge grip on the Ducati, so the more that you take that away, then the worse it is. But that's the same for everyone. I don't really care. So yeah, it doesn't really make a difference. It's the same for everyone.
Nice one. Well, Christian, thanks very much for your time. Good luck in 2024.
Cheers.
We find ourselves outside the DAO Racing, or more commonly known this year as the Cheshire Mouldings BMW. Have I got that right?
Yeah, you've got that right this time.
So Danny Buchan's gone, and in comes a former BSB star in Rory Skinner.
Yeah.
Still only about 22, I think, isn't he?
Well, yeah, I think so. Rory's been around forever, so I couldn't really tell you how old he is, but he feels like he's older than what he is. But yeah, nice to have Rory back, obviously, after a year in Moto 2. Felt to me like he was, I'm going to use the phrase, shafted by his previous team, and come back to BSB with open arms. Everybody's happy to see Rory back. Everybody's glad to see it. David Todd also in here as well. Davey's on the Superstock bike for this year in the National Superstock Championship on the BMW.
Former champion, of course.
Former champion as well, only 2 years ago, really. So he comes in here with basically a lot of clout as a former champion, and yesterday he was a second quicker than anyone in that class. So he's going out there to prove a point that he's a race winner, and he's a proven winner.
Rory had a couple of seasons, didn't he, on the FS3 Kawasaki, and did a very, very good job. He was impressive. Considering it's his first time on a Elite Sports bike, on a superbike.
Yeah, I think the only thing that he didn't do was win a race. He was on the podium, he was on pole position, he set fastest laps. He was so surprised everybody coming from Supersport onto a superbike at how well he performed, and it was a shame to see him go to Moto 2, but if the opportunity comes, you're going to take it, and Rory took it with open arms. It just didn't work out for him, and he's come back here. He's in a good team, good environment, good people around him. He's brought his crew chief from Moto 2, who's been in the Grand Prix paddock for about 25-30 years, so he's got a wealth of experience. So for me, Rory's one to watch out for. Just depends on how well the BMW performs. Obviously, the last few years in BSB, it's not been the bike of choice, should we say. But if anyone can make it work, it's probably going to be Rory for sure.
Yeah, so M1000RR this year, and I think everybody wishes Rory well, don't they?
Yeah.
They want good things for him. He's such a nice kid.
He is, yeah, he's such a lovely kid, and I think, if he gets that monkey off his back of a race, win it round 2, round 3, you'll just see him kick on. He's going to do well at Knockhill. It's his home round. He loves it round there. He's been round there more times than Leon Haslam's been around here.
Wow.
So, for me, you're going to see him perform well. Hopefully it's just on a consistent basis. We don't want to see it as a flash in the pan 1 and 2 rounds. You want to see it on a consistent basis from Rory.
Good. Excellent. Next one. 30 in the inner sanctum now. We've worked our way into the Hawk garage, Hawk Racing, with the Hondas and a new recruit. We've got Lee Jackson's name on this one.
Yep. Yeah, so new recruit, Lee comes back to Hawk Racing, so Lee's been here a few years ago. On a Honda, first time for Lee on a Honda, and he joins Charlie Nesbitt, who retains his seat from last year. Charlie had a good season last year, good rookie season to be fair, on the podium, probably one of the best of the rookies. For me, Max probably had the better year, consistency-wise, but it's nice to see Lee back in with the Hawk team. It's a bit of a family-run effort. Sort of suits Lee a little bit better, if you like. And when I spoke to him on Friday, he seems happy. Not really had much time on the Superbike, same as everybody else. And they're aiming to hopefully get the 24 bikes before the Alton Park test, is what they're hoping for. Whether if they run them then or not, it remains to be seen. But I can imagine Lee's going to have a strong year on this.
I think they both are too young, still relatively young, isn't he, Lee? Had a very good season on the Kawasaki last year. In fact, the last 2 years he's been fairly strong, hasn't he? And Charlie as well, an exciting prospect. He's one for the future.
Yeah, definitely, and these two are going to be pushing each other hammer and tongue all the way throughout the year. Can see Charlie again in the top 5, consistently in the top 5, if he can. Podiums, it wouldn't surprise me. Didn't surprise me last year getting on the podium at Thruxton. Everyone knows he can do it, just needs to get the consistency. Needs to stop crashing as well, really. That's a big thing. But you can, I think what's the old saying, you can teach a fast rider to stop crashing, but you can't teach a crashing rider to go fast, or something like that. So, but hopefully this year you see Charlie get up there more consistently and pushing Lee as well.
Good stuff. Right, let's move on. This is the garage of the Yamaha. Now, Martrain Racing by McAMS Yamaha. Is that close?
No, nowhere near. It's McAMS Racing by Martrain Yamaha.
Okay. So
with
it's Danny Kent.
Yep.
And he's on the bike that was vacated by Jack Kennedy last year.
Yep, that's correct.
So new colours. We've got a new sponsor. We've got a new rider, but same team.
More or less, so it's the same team, but like you say, with a brand new rider. So Danny joins this team from last year after running his own team, basically. So he ran the Lovell Kent Honda team. This year he now moves into this seat. These guys are a little bit more of a secondary supported Yamaha team as opposed to OMG, who are the factory Yamaha team. Martrain guys get a little bit of extra support, but just not as much as what the OMG guys do, but access to all the same parts. Danny, for me, should go on all right on a Yamaha. Suits his style a little bit more. Obviously a World Moto 3 champion, so he likes to run a load of corner speed. He can do that on the Yamaha. It's just taking him a little bit of time to get up to speed with it, I think. Had a couple of days out on it in Spain before Christmas, which he was allowed to do due to the testing ban. Testing ban basically means that after January the 1st you couldn't test up until today, or test your Superbike up until maybe last week, should I say. Whereas up until Christmas he could get out on his bike. So he got a couple of days in, and this is now his first time back out on it since then.
So he ran the Honda, as you said, last year, the beginning part of last year, and actually showed some very, very good pace, didn't he? He was running top 10, top 5 at times, and doing a really good job.
Yeah, he was, and at the start of the season, close to the podium. I think he was even on the podium at Brands Hatch at some point. So he really was showing real good form, and then unfortunately just external factors happened, which meant he had to pull out of the season. But for me, Danny's one to watch this year. He always has been. The Yamaha's a real good package. Okay, it might be not as fresh as the new Hondas or the Ducatis, but it's still a good all-round package. You could see that from last year with the McAMS guys.
Yes, exactly, and with Carl Ryde and Ryan Vickers already, they're proving top of the timesheets. Good, fine. Let's move on. We've got the GR Motorsport team behind us. They've got, am I right? They've got 2 riders, haven't they, this season? But they've both got different sponsors.
Yeah, so they're different sponsors. So one is LKQ Car Parts Kawasaki, and the other one is the South Connect Academy Kawasaki. Basically, the way to remember it: Storm Stacey on the grey bike, Tom Neve on the green bike.
Tom Neve moves from Honda Racing, and he's on a Kawasaki for the first time.
Well, first time in a long time for Tom. I think he was on a Kawasaki back in his stock 600 days probably about maybe 5-6 years ago. Seems to be enjoying it. Seems to be happy. Spoke to him on Friday at the media day. Happy. Nice, different environment for him.
Do you think he's got a point to prove here?
Definitely, 100%. Tom's got a point to prove. Tom was one last year where everybody was disappointed in Tom. He was a national super stock champion. People were expecting better of him on the Honda. It's not like he was jumping from one bike to a different bike. He's got a point to prove this year. He's got a teammate in there as well that really should really be beating him. Tom's come in there as a national superstock champion previous, should be beating him. They're going to be pushing each other on, but it's a happy garage. When I've been in there this weekend, they're both smiling, they're both happy. Team manager Brent's really pleased that he's now got a second superbike rider in there to push Storm along. Storm for me last year did really well. Was close. Was close. He was close to a podium last year. He just didn't have that sort of cutting edge right at the last minute when he needed to have it. Whereas now having a teammate in there, he will then have a point to prove. The first person that someone's always going to want to beat is their teammate. Sure. Storm has now got that teammate.
A massive fan favourite as well, isn't he, Storm? We talked earlier on about Jason O'Halloran needing points, or having points for being a nice bloke. Well, Storm ought to have a few on that top hat of his as well.
Yeah, just a really nice kid. And again, another one that you think is older than what he is. Storm's like 21, 22 years old, just passed his HGV licence as well. So he's now out driving trucks as well.
There's a fun fact for you.
There's a fun fact for you. So if you want Storm to drive a truck, then you know where he is. But yeah, for me, he's another one to watch out for this year. He's not one of those kids that you're going to see maybe 15, 16. He's going to be pushing for top 10s. At Cadwell last year we led a race. I think he was on the second row and he shot straight through and grabbed the whole shot. No one expected it other than Storm. Storm knew what he can do. And Storm knows what he can do. So hopefully this year you'll see a lot more of him pushing for top 5s.
Good. Thank you very much. Bertie, this is DAO Racing behind us, the Kawasaki team, and
Yep.
in fact, Samai, the owner, is right behind us as well. So absolutely nice things. They've got a big change, haven't they? Because Dean Harrison's been with them for many, many years, running in the roads and the short circuit. But big changes for the team this year.
Yeah, obviously with Dean moving to Honda, the team wanted a bit of a change, so they're not doing the roads this year, and they've decided to go for 2 BSB Superbike riders. So in there is Braden Elliott. So Braden was in there last year in the Super Stock Championship, then towards the end of the year moved into Superbikes, and then this year they've now signed Kawasaki fanboy Danny Buchan. So Danny's in there after moving from the TAS team. Seems to be really happy, does Danny. He was going really quick yesterday morning. I think he led a session at some point yesterday. So he seems to be the old Danny. On Friday he was joking, he was happy, he was smiling, he was laughing, you know, and that's the Danny Buchan that everybody knows, and that's the Danny Buchan that everybody wants to see. So for me, it's a good move, you know, to have 2 Superbikes in there now. They deserve it. They're a good team. So hopefully they show their brilliance.
He's had success, hasn't he, on Kawasaki before?
Yeah, he was with the FS3 team. So he was with the FS3 team for quite a while. He was also with the MSS Performance team as well for a few years. Danny likes the Kawasaki. It just seems to suit him. It'd be interesting to ask why. It just seems to suit him. It's just nice and flowing. He's always quick on it for some reason. These guys have had a bit of testing time as well, so they went out and joined the World Superbike test in November. So they've already had a bit of time under their belts, and a lot of hard work goes on behind the scenes in this team, more than what people realise. You know, they're a real good effort, they're a real strong effort. They've got some real good guys in there. And so for me, yeah, I think you'll see Danny proving a lot of people wrong. Again, we keep saying it, point to prove. Danny is one with a point to prove, a massive point to prove for this year.
It's what makes BSB so interesting, I think, that there's so much competition, there's so many guys out there. We must have used the term one to watch about a dozen times already, and point to prove. There's another one that we've used quite a bit. Good, all right, let's move on, shall we?
Yep.
IWR Racing, Alex Olsen.
Yep.
Now they're a new team to Superbike, aren't they?
Yes, they're a new team this year, so they moved out of the Superstock class. So for the avid BSB fans will remember IWR from years ago. So this was like Batham's Racing, Tommy Bridwell's ridden for them. They've been around the paddock for years and years and years. They took a few years out, came back last year with Alex Olsen in the Superstock class, did quite well, won a few races, and then this year they've now moved into the Pathway class for this year. So Pathway is a completely new class within the British Superbike class for 2024.
And we should talk about what that means, because it was tested, wasn't it, at the back end of last season?
Yes, it was, yeah. So basically, we'll talk to somebody next door who's more clued up on the regulations than I am. But basically, a Pathway bike is a super bike. You're only allowed, I think, you're allowed stock forks, stock swing arm, and a few other things. But like I say, we'll ask about the regulations in a little while. But it's a class within a class, and it's designed to kind of cut the costs down of a super bike. So essentially, you're not spending 100 grand, you're spending maybe 50 grand. So it's just halving the costs throughout the year. So it'd be quite interesting to see the times compared to a superbike as well as a Pathway bike. Last year, when the Pathways joined the superbike class, Franco Bourne finished a race in 6th. Okay, yes, it was a wet race, but Franco still finished within the top 10. So for me, with Alex as well, Alex is a proven superbike rider, proven superstock race winner as well. He's one to watch, really is. He could put the cat amongst the pigeons on that Fireblade, definitely.
I was going to say, they're on a Honda Fireblade this year,
yep.
which is clearly a 2023 bike, but it's really smart. It looks like those Rothmans colours, isn't it?
Yeah, they've kept the same livery from last year. It's a really cool livery. They'll also run a superstock team as well. They've got Simon Reed in there, son of Brian Reed, XTT race winner. So he's in there on the superstock bike for this year. But the main man to watch in that will be Alex.
Good. All right, let's move on. Here we have Tag Racing and your old chums.
Yeah, my old chums, yeah. So, again, a bit like Honda Racing in there. It's
busy, isn't it?
It's busy, yeah. He's set himself a lot of work this year. So, 1 superbike, 1 Pathway, and 2 super stock bikes. So, on the superbike for this year is Fraser Rogers. People know Fraser from years ago. Fraser was Moto 3, he's ridden in Moto 2, he's a really well-known rider. It seems to be going well so far. He seems to like the bike, already matched the times as what Hector Barbara did last year in testing, so he seems to already settle to it. And in the pathway class there'll also be Jamie van Sikkelrus. Jamie was in Supersport for the last few years, Dutch rider, and he now moves into the pathway class for 2024. So again, a couple of guys that you've got to watch out for. On his day, Fraser could really put the cat amongst the pigeons, and for me, Jamie will be battling for wins within the pathway class. I think him and Alex Olsen will probably go head to head for a lot of the victories in there.
Fraser's a nice guy, isn't he? He's always sort of a happy-go-lucky kind of chirpy chappy, isn't he? Does that translate when he gets that visor down? Does that all kind of...
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've not really had much dealings with Fraser Rogers in the past. I've never really spoke to him very much up until Friday, actually, this week. And then this morning had a good chat with him. He's won. When we say a point to prove, he is one with a point to prove. He's had his chance in Superbikes before and not really delivered. Now he's got everything around him. You know, this team, okay, it might not be a Honda Racing, it might not be a PBM, but they put everything into it. You know, those bikes in there are near enough the same as what the Honda Racing guys are. You know, exactly the same specs, the same suspension, everything. It's all done properly.
They're a very hard-working, slick operation, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the Fireblades that they're using are 2023 spec, aren't they? Are they expecting 2024 bikes?
Yes, it's a sore subject with Gary, but yes, he is expecting the 24 bikes. They're probably going to be coming maybe just before Donington Park. But again, it's one of those things of you're going to have to go out there and do a lot of testing. These guys really have only got 12 days of testing that they can use during the year. So you get a brand new bike, you're then going to have to develop it at a race weekend, which isn't really conducive to getting results. So we'll wait and see, but they will definitely be getting the 24 bikes for sure.
Good stuff, thank you.
Gaz, thanks for joining us. Just first of all, what's the main difference between a superbike and a pathway? What's the main differences?
Yeah, the main difference is price, really. It's a new class to bring new riders into Superbike and also new teams into Superbike. The easiest way to explain it is it's a Superbike, but you can't run. You've got to run standard swing arm, standard suspension with internal kits or the shock revalved. No Superbike engine, so it's just stock engine. You can put a different sump on to help with oil. You can put like a Superbike radiator on for cooling. You can change the clutch, but you've got to keep standard gearbox where Superbike runs a different gearbox. Full Superbike electronics, so there's no traction, no anti-wheelie, and then Superbike tank. You can also do the yokes, so you can have Superbike yokes with you can change the offsets, the rakes, you can do the swing arm pivot. So it is bang in between a Superbike and a Superstock really. And it's also good for teams, and because when you crash one of them, it's gonna be a lot cheaper than crashing a Superbike. Obviously you don't want to crash one, but the cost is there to. When new riders come, they're not barrel rolling a 80, 100 grand Superbike, they're crashing something a lot cheaper that with road parts should be a lot stronger and they don't bend as easily. So.
Perfect. Well, cheers for that, guys. Thanks very much and good luck in 24.
Yeah, thank you.
We are outside the garage of the Rapid Honda team now. So this is a team who were in Superstock and now in Superbike?
Yes, so basically this is Franco Bourne's team from last year. So people remember it as the Marvel MCL Motorsport team from Superstock last year. Surprised everybody at the start of last year with Franco winning a race. He then got promoted more or less to the factory Honda team after Andrew Irwin got injured. And this year's wanted his chance to come into Superbike. Now this team was supposed to be in the pathway class for this year, but then they've decided to move to the full-on Superbike class after Franco's positive showings really at the end of last year. It's nice to see young blood coming back into the championship. Nice to see a new team in the championship as well. So hopefully this year you see the best from Franco. Had a tricky middle of the year last year on the factory within the factory team. But this year I think he's sole rider in there, on his own, got his crew that he's all used to, he knows them all, they all know him and how he works. He's got Dave Houston as his crew chief, Pete Bose is like his rider coach. So it would not surprise me if you see Franco consistently within the points and pushing for a top 5 towards the end of the year, definitely.
Really, top 5. I was just talking to Dave just now. He was saying how chirpy Franco was after yesterday. He said the times don't really matter to him, but it's his feeling with the bike that he was really impressed with. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad. He's on last year's Honda, though, isn't he?
He is on last year's Honda. I don't know whether they're going to be getting the new one, but basically they've got a little bit of support from Honda Racing as well. Obviously, Harv really likes Franco. He really thinks highly of him, so the Honda guys are in there quite, just being a little bit more supportive, whether if it's with parts or data or setup. So yeah, like I say, for me, it would not surprise me to see Franco top 5 towards the end of the year.
You heard it here first. We've got the CDH Racing Kawasaki behind us in stealthy test colours as well. Luke Hedges, I think, out on the circuit at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah. So Luke joins his team, one-man team now for this year for the CDH guys. So you'll have remembered last year, or most BSB fans will have remembered they were a two-man team last year. They've now dropped down to a one-man team. Luke comes in from the National Superstock Championship last year. He was top Kawasaki in that class last year. So he outperformed really on the bike that he was on. The Fireblade in the Superstock class is the bike to be on. So to be the top Kawasaki in that class and really battling for podiums and for top 5s was really impressive from Luke. So he definitely warrants his chance to be in the Superbike class. He's never been in the Superbike class before, so it's his first proper full season in Superbikes. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on. These guys work really hard. This year they've got all of the right core ingredients. Just never seems to get sort of put together in the right way, if you like. Just the stars never really align for them. But they're a hard-working team, and to be fair, they're based about 300 yards from my front door, so they're quite local to me. But they're a good team, and hopefully you see Luke really pushing for the top 15 every weekend.
Points mean prizes after all. What did Luke... I saw you talking to Luke Hedger earlier on. He looked fairly chirpy as well.
Yeah, he's a chirpy guy. He said basically he didn't really get a lot of time out on the track yesterday. Got a couple of sessions in, then they had a technical problem. So the team worked up until about 1 o'clock last night to change the engine, put a brand new engine in there for him. So that he can't fault the team, he cannot fault their efforts just yet. And he said he'd rather those things go wrong here than at round 1 or round 2, and then he'd just be on the back foot. But yeah, so far so good for Luke.
Good stuff, thank you. The InCompetition team have got 2 Aprilias. One's a Pathway, one's a Superstock bike.
Yep.
Tell us more.
Yeah, so the InCompetition Aprilia team, so you'll have seen those guys in the Superstock class for a few years. First time an Aprilia's been back in the BSB Championship for a long time. So Lewis Rollo moves up now into the Pathway class. So there's 3 Pathway bikes this year to look out for. Obviously Alex Olsen, Jamie Van Kelrus, and now Lewis Rollo. Lewis is, National Superstock race winner. He's a real good kid. Knows how to ride a bike, and it'll be interesting to see how the Aprilia gets on in the Pathway class.
Familiar with the bike, though, isn't he?
Yeah. So he's done a full season on it last year in Superstock. Yeah. So he's familiar with the bike. Fraser Rogers actually rode this bike last year at the last round at Brands Hatch. Did all right on it. Really surprised a few people. And like you mentioned there as well, they've got a Superstock bike in there as well. That's being occupied this year with Josh Owens. It's absolutely mega to see Josh back. So unfortunately last year Josh had a real bad accident at the Stars Darley meeting. Got airlifted to hospital and was in a coma. Was in a real bad way. And to see him back out on a bike, literally probably 8 months after his crash, is fantastic. I spoke to him yesterday and he just said it's brilliant to be back out on a bike. There's no pressure, there's no stress. And Josh was quickest at one point yesterday in their test session. David told them went and pipped him. So to be second fastest, first time really back out on a bike proper after only just doing a few sort of track days really out in Spain is great to see. But ultimately it's just great to see Josh back in the paddock and back on a bike again.
And it's great to see an Aprilia in the Superbike class again.
Yeah, it's other than MotoGP, we don't see an Aprilia out on a race circuit really. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes. There's little things in there that are slightly different. That's really why the pathway class was sort of brought in. Stewart's brought it in, is to bring manufacturers like Aprilia back into the championship.
Opens the field a bit more.
Yeah, opens the field a bit more. So it's not just Honda, Ducati, Kawasaki, Yamaha, that kind of thing. There's more manufacturers that can get involved. So hopefully we see Lewis do well this year.
Good stuff, thank you. And last but no means least, NP Racing Kawasaki.
That's correct, yeah. So Louis Vallely is with these guys this year. So Louis finished the season with the CDH guys that we've just been down to. Did really well, finished in the top 10 here in a wet race at the end of last year. Moved up from the Stock 600 Championship middle of last season. It's a big jump up in class, you know, going from a Stock 600 bike to a Superbike. It's a big jump, but he held his own, to be fair to him. Surprised a lot of people. Obviously, once the CDH team announced that they were only running one bike, he was then left without a ride, and he now joins Neil Pearson's team for 2024. But hopefully he can pull some results out. Hopefully he can prove what he's actually, you know, that he is a Superbike rider. He looks the part. He's got his factory Revit levers on. A real nice kid. He just deserves a shot in Superbikes for me. And the other team that we also need to mention that aren't actually here testing is the Fairburn Racing Honda team. So Billy McConnell will move out of Super Stock, was supposed to be in Pathway, has now moved into Superbike. So everybody will remember Billy from years ago. He's now back in Superbike on a full factory Fireblade from Honda, and he gets a lot of support from Honda Racing as well.
Good character, Billy.
Yeah, definitely.
Always very strong in that Super Stock class as well.
Always strong on a Super Stock class, yeah. Good on a night out as well. But yeah, really nice guy. Hopefully we see him within the top 15, top 10 each weekend consistently throughout the year.
There we are then, Mr. B. We've got 28 riders, we've got 19 teams, we've got 11 rounds, 32 races, one less than last year, as you reliably informed me, because they're only doing 2 in Navarra, not 3.
That's right.
It's the prospects are good for another exciting Bennetts British Superbike Championship.
100%, yeah, definitely. I think you've got a mix of fresh blood into the championship. You've got a mix of people moving to different teams. You've got new bikes. You've got new riders, a new circuit. But it's going to provide the same great racing, isn't it? And, you know, let's be fair, British Superbikes is never short of great racing action.
All the ingredients are there. Come on then, it's time for your and my inevitably poor predictions, which we seem to taint them more than praise them. Come on then, top 3.
Third for me, Kyle Ride. I just think, and I hope he proves me wrong, but I just think Kyle has got a couple of mistakes in him somewhere along the line during the year. Second, this is really hard to call because I don't want somebody to bring this up later on down the line, but I'm going to say second, Tommy Bridewell. I think Tommy's going to be up there.
Interesting.
And I think if Glenn Irwin doesn't win the championship this year, there's something wrong. To miss out by only half a point last year, due to probably his mistake at crashing out at Knockhill. If he didn't crash out at Knockhill, he would have been champion, essentially.
Yeah.
So all he's got to do is cut out the odd mistake, because he doesn't make many mistakes, and for me, he's the champion. However, it could be Josh Brooks, it could be Jason O'Halloran, it could be Andrew Irwin, there could be so many people, but there can only be one champion. So come on then, you've put me on the spot. It's now your turn.
I think, for me, the surprise package is going to come from Honda. I think that, you know, having had such a relatively poor few seasons, I think that they're in good shape to really surprise everybody. Tommy's a great asset. He's a great addition to the team. He'll develop that bike well. Dean Harrison seems to be in a very, very good place. We've seen him testing some really, really good times from him already. And I think he's relishing the role in a sort of it's a more corporate environment with Honda. I think that suits him. I think Andy Irwin's going to be fast. So those Fireblades are the package to look out for. But you're right. I think that the establishment the established riders in an established team such as OMG, with Kyle and with Ryan, they should be top 2. Or within the top 3 of the championship, and I agree with you. I think Glenn's got it all to lose. I'd like to see the BMW strong. I'd like to see Rory Skinner up there. I think it's about time that Pete Hickman and Josh Brooks started being a bit more consistent with podium finishes too. But like you said, and like we say every single year, it really could be anyone. You could throw all those names up and down.
Anyone of 14, 15, isn't it, really?
Got it. So, this season, Michael and I are also going to be presenting, or representing, because we did it last year, our series called the BSB Show. So, between every race, we always give a bit of analysis to what happened last time. We'll look at the highlights, we'll have some interviews. We'll also look forward to the next round, see what's coming up. Again, with some preview footage as well. So do keep an eye on that. Thanks to ZeroFit for sponsoring this video. As a BikeSocial member, BikeSocial members are entitled to a deal we're running at the moment where you can buy, if you buy the base layer and the bottoms, that's £110. You then get £50 worth free with the neck warmers and the socks. So that's a BikeSocial member only deal at the moment. BikeSocial members, in fact, can come along to BSB and enjoy a huge raft of really great prizes and hospitality and experiences, can't they?
Yeah, so again, like we have done the last few years, there'll be pillion laps, safety car laps, VIP hospitality, grid walks, you get early access to pit lane walkabout on a Sunday, and at selected rounds, so Donington Park, Brands Hatch. Come on, help me out here. There's got to be more places, but of all the circuits that we get garages as well, we'll have a VIP village, shall we say, so you can come in, watch all the action from the inlet into pit lane. You're so close to Parc Fermé, to the podium. You can even hand the trophies out as well. Like, such cool things as handing the trophies out. So all you've got to do is just log on to bikesocial.co.uk, check out all the competitions. They'll probably come out 12 weeks before each event. So I think at the minute we're up to Snetterton at the time of recording this. And yeah, all you got to do is just enter the competitions. Literally just throw your name into the hat and you never know what you could get. You can win anything from general admission tickets to, like I say, to VIP hospitality. There's so much that you can do. You might as well experience it because you'll make memories that will last a lifetime doing it.
Very true. If you're a BSB fan, you really should do it. And if you're not already a BikeSocial member, then what are you waiting for? It's free with Bennetts Insurance, or it's £6 a month. And there's about 150 different competitions, prizes, or deals and discounts to get involved with there as well. What else are we going to mention? Facebook group. We have a Facebook group called Bennetts BikeSocial. Come and join us there. It's a lot of fun. Don't forget the old liking and the subscribing, as people on YouTube have to say.
Yeah, what do we do? We have to push the button down the bottom or something like that?
And give us your thoughts on who might finish in the top three or who might be champion. Be interesting to see what you think as well. Happy?
More than happy.
I can't wait for
Can
Navarra.
I go inside and get warm, please?
Yes.
Because it's freezing.
It's brew time. See you next time. Thanks for joining us. Good. And I'll say to him, your lens cap's on.
Are we ready? Ready?
Oxford Products Motor... No, I'll start again. Action. I don't even know who's riding this.
Luke Hedger.
Oh, yeah.
Still really much happy.
These BMs are so noisy. 1 second. To what was the seat that was filled... Let me start that again. Sorry. The red lights are on. Shall we go?
Yep.